we're going to be discussing some of the most prominent models in the e-commerce space. I will just kick off with an introduction of our panelists, and we'll mention each of their funding rounds just to make the point that e-commerce is a capital-intensive business. Here to my right, I have Demet Mutlu, the founder and CEO of Trendyol.com, Turkey's leading e-commerce site. Shortly after Trendyol launched in March 2010, the site took on 2 rounds of funding from Tiger Global, and then took on a 3rd round this past July from Tiger and Kleiner Perkins of $25 million, bringing total funding to $50 million. Next up is Ahmed Khatib of Marca VIP, a leading flash sales site in the Middle East and North Africa. Ahmed launched the site in November 2010 and then took on $15 million in investment from Osama Fayyad, Karim Kawar, and Hummingbird Ventures, and completed 2 rounds earlier this year, taking on a total of $30 million in funding thus far. Next up, I have Mana Ataya, the CEO and founder of Mum's World, an online retail site for all things mother, baby, and child. Mana founded the site this past October and is now closing a round of funding. Finally, I have Paul Kenny of Cabone, which is a daily deal site based in the UAE. After launching the company in August 2010, he took on rounds of funding from Jabbar Group, which is also backed by Tiger. The 2nd round in July 2010 made Jabbar the sole owner of Cabone. I just wanted to start, can each of you discuss what is the most challenging aspect of your business to date? We'll just start with you, Demet, and go down the line. Can you just mention really briefly, 1 or 2 sentences, what is the most challenging aspect?
The region, as you all know, was not ready for e-commerce when we entered. There's many different businesses that have tried and have failed, and many of them are having a lot of problems scaling. Fortunately enough, we don't have problems with growth, so the appetite is there, the demand is there. Our issues, again, is just all the issues that all the companies are facing today in the Middle East. This includes supply chain, logistics, cross-border transportation, last-mile delivery, payment, and the overall, the customers are not aware of the convenience of shopping online. So part of it is building a company, and the other part of it is actually building an industry. So, you know, it's pioneering everything from scratch. However, we realize all the issues that we're having, and we're quite aware of the issues with regards to late delivery, for example, the issues that happen with mismatch between our suppliers and the orders that we place with our suppliers, and we're actively working to fix these things. We're 320 people today. Our only personal mission is to satisfy our customers and scale this thing up where we can get to 20, 30, 40,000 orders a day without having any issues.
Ahmed, what is the most challenging issue? If you had to pick one.
I named like 7 things. So no, it's the region, it's logistics, cross-border transportation, payments, and just overall the market is unaware of e-commerce. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm dealing with a slightly more unique consumer in that our consumer are the mothers. The mothers place a tremendous amount of, can you hear me actually? Yeah. The mothers place a tremendous amount of intrinsic value in the services and products that they select, which means that the customer experience has to be flawless across all the touch points. So for our particular target, it's not enough to promise the consumer 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even 10 days delivery. We need to deliver on fast, cost-effective delivery each and every time and ensure that the customer experience is delivered flawlessly each and every time.
Sorry, just really quickly, can you raise your hand if you can hear and understand the panelists? If you can hear and understand us. Okay, we just need a little bit of, we need to turn up the sound a little bit. And everybody hold the mic close. All right, Paul.
So I think our biggest challenge was, to agree with Demet, is that the scale of growth within the business was quite extreme. So we're actually looking for our 4th headquarter within 18 months in Dubai. which has been quite a challenge because we keep hiring people. I think the second biggest challenge for us was finding really, really good people who are interested in working within the e-commerce space because, again, as Ahmed said, it's a very new industry here, so attracting top talent is quite an issue.
Thanks. Ahmed, how do you target the fashionista? You've grown to 1.5 million users since you launched in 2010. What's your answer to this, to how you grew your customer base?
Again, because it's a new region, we really don't have a lot of benchmarks so that we can come up with the proper target methodologies. So in the beginning, we kind of did blind marketing using Facebook until we found out which segments are actually buying in terms of age groups, in terms of sex, in terms of cities, in terms of countries. And then from there, we started optimizing. So the Facebook strategy for us early on was very good to get the bootstrap market and to get the word out there because young people, as you know, are very vocal and love, very fanatic about their brands. And we followed a similar strategy to what the people on Facebook did during the Arab Spring to get the word out. And then after that, as I mentioned, we started working with many different partners in the Middle East as well as Europe and the United States to try to start optimizing our marketing dollars. Then it became obvious who the people are who are spending the most money, who are that are generating the most orders. We started looking at marginal purchase behaviors. We started looking at repetitive purchase behavior. And broke it down per country, even down per city, so that we can really calculate the proper ROI on marketing. We're not there yet. I mean, there's still a lot of challenges in the region in terms of digital marketing, but we're seeing that a lot of the big players are entering this region and offering more networks to publish on. The costs of acquisitions are only going up, so the only advice that I have for any e-commerce company which is acquiring users is to acquire as many users as possible right now because costs will only go up.
Mona, your user base has also grown more quickly than you expected since you launched. You now, last I checked, have around 10,000 registered customers, or by January of this year. You're known for your customer service, which also historically distinguished Amazon. How did you achieve good customer service, and how do you plan to maintain consistency with that as you scale?
When we launched the site, there was a key need in the market that was not met. And that need was to provide the consumer with the single largest catalog of product where she could search, compare, and feel empowered to buy the product that's right for her. So in October of 2011, the day we launched the site, we already had over 30,000 products from the region and abroad under one umbrella. Today, about 8 months later, we have just under 60,000 products. And again, this is under 1 year in operation. So to start with, we gave the consumer exactly what she wanted, and that is empowered choice of products available locally and regionally. The second thing that was very important is the consumer experience. We promise fast, cost-effective delivery. When a mother orders a pack of diapers or a baby bottle or wants to replace her pacifier that tore, she doesn't want to wait extended periods of time. And it's that commitment to the customer experience that has gained us not only very high loyalty, but equally important, a tremendous amount of low-cost viral elements. And then finally, I'll finish by saying that our consumer is very unique in that according to Nielsen, 68% of purchase decisions of a first-time mother are done in the window of 3 months prenatal to 3 months postnatal. That means that if you're able to reach that consumer during that window of opportunity, you essentially have a captive audience and a loyal consumer.
Mona, as you scale did you put into place a strict training culture at Mums World? I mean, how will you maintain that?
Every person at Mums World, whether you're a technology developer, a customer service, a marketeer, even myself, has to spend hours every day in customer service and logistics. Every person in the organization is trained on the A to Z of the customer service and logistics. At the end of the day, that is what defines us, and that is what drives us. And insofar that we never compromise on that experience, we will continue to grow exponentially. So yes, our training is very rigorous, and there has to be also an element in training of common sense. So when we do hire people, we do place them 2 weeks of training, and we do gauge the intangible common sense that cannot be defined.
Paul, how did you build a user base in such a cutthroat market with so many clones? What's crucial for differentiating a daily deals site, and is there such a thing as customer loyalty in the daily deals space?
Okay, so from a user acquisition point, I would actually slightly disagree with Ahmed's strategy of acquiring as many users as possible. I think this market, because it's e-commerce as a whole is quite new, it's very easy to acquire users. I mean, you can bid 20 cents and get a user to sign up to your database. But I would look at active users as a way to define whether or not your company is successful or not. So from our strategy, we focused a lot on online marketing, but we also focused on the 360 campaigns, which involved a lot of PR, offline activities, where even in Saudi Arabia, we had a bunch of students walking around with Cabone flags on their bulbs, dish dashes, and signing up users. So I think this market is prone to not just online marketing. I think you need to focus on an offline execution that'll actually help scale quicker. And through that PR activity and that offline component, I think we did differentiate ourselves and has brought Cabone to where it is today.
Do you think your customers are loyal to Cabone?
My data says they are. But
How do you track that? How do you track that? How do you know they aren't just grabbing up as many daily deals as they can?
So the business kind of, there's a lot of competitors out there, but it's ultimately down to the best deal plus customer service. And it's come to a point where customers are now asking for much more than just a daily deal. They're looking for choice. So what Cabone has started to do is actually differentiate itself and become a discounted e-commerce player. So today we have a fashion vertical, we have a travel vertical, electronics, products, mums and kids. So we're actually kind of competing with a number of people sitting beside me in a small sense. But I think through that choice we began to differentiate ourselves and breed loyalty because people understand the experience they get through Cabone.com.
If I just may clarify here, I specifically mentioned that we looked at marginal purchase behavior, repetitive behavior, and ordering behavior on the website. You definitely have to calculate what your users are doing on a real-time basis. When I said acquire as many users as you can, what is meant from that is acquire as many users that you can potentially convert onto repeat buyers over time. So it's not just about acquiring users, you have to acquire quality users.
To go back to discussing daily deals, many people would say the daily deals model is now broken. Even Groupon's own data has shown that in saturated markets, their conversion rates are dropping, their revenue per Groupon sold is dropping. The Middle East doesn't yet appear to be saturated. Last year, in the last 6 months of 2011, the daily deals sites grew by 42%, which is more than anywhere else in the world. But it will happen. What's your plan when the market becomes saturated? What are you going to do to keep growing your customer base?
I think as an e-commerce play, the daily deal model was an excellent model to bring into this market. It did involve the headache of logistics, as you know, and it's all based on email. So I think the play does transition to be where we're now focusing more on products and scale from that. I think the daily deal model will evolve. We're evolving quite quickly. We're 18 months live, and we have transitioned heavily into a product-based business. But I see this market doesn't have defined consumption patterns yet, where people in the US would go to Amazon to buy a CD or a DVD. Here, that isn't defined at all. So I think the platforms that are sitting here, we can define consumption patterns, and there's an awful lot of upper tier that we can actually take. because the online market is still relatively small.
So, yeah, Ahmed, I'm actually going to ask you about when you first sourced your merchandise. My understanding is that you had an agreement with Gilt Group or Vent Privé to actually use their merchandise, or like to
We
sell the
actually
same
had an agreement with
merchandise.
Trendyol.
Oh, you had an agreement with Trendyol. Did that help you scale with less startup capital?
Of course, this is an opportunity for me to thank Demet. Actually, very early on, we sourced most of our products using the Trendyol platform. And this is how we come to know that people in the Middle East are actually much more interested in fashion looks and styles, much more so than they're interested in brand names. And today, on Market VIP, if you see 60%, 50 to 60% of the brands that are on Market VIP don't even exist in the Middle East to begin with. They're unknown in the Middle East. Including, we actually just featured Trendyol's brands, Mila and what's the other one called? Modagram on Market VIP last week, and they did really well. So people are very interested in the styles and the colors, and they might buy the Guess watch, but they will complement it with a private label shirt that looks really nice, that would resemble like a Zara shirt or a Calvin Klein shirt. And that's where we're seeing the market appetite is for. So that's why we focused very early on to make sure that we not only feature the latest and greatest brand names, but we are also a launch pad for brands that want to enter into this market, that don't know how to enter into this market because they don't know the values, the culture, the perceived value of their products, the pricing strategy. And they're using Market VIP to launch their brands. If you look on Market VIP today, you will see, in fact, that, as I mentioned, most of the brands don't even exist in the Middle East. Now, for the ones that do exist in the Middle East, we do have a sales team that's dedicated only to researching prices both online and offline. So before we put any item online, we make sure that we actually have the most competitive rate. The other thing, again, going back to perceived value, is that you might order something from Amazon or from Gilt or from Net-a-Porter, but the inefficiency and the issues that you have to deal with to get your order. First of all, the shipping cost is very high. There is no COD option. You have to clear the products your own, so you have to go to the airport or deal with the clearing agent to clear it for you, and you have to pay additional fees. So if you end up ordering a dress or a camera or whatever it is that's $100 from some international site, by the time you receive it in the Middle East, in Jordan or in Lebanon or somewhere in the Gulf, you're actually paying 50 to 80% more. And the promise that Market VIP gives is that the price that you see on the website is actually the final price that you will pay at the door. And that's what I think our customers are investing in. They're investing in this convenience of knowing that they're going to get their product and knowing that if they have an issue with their product, they can actually return it. So, and there's no, again, there is no benchmarks. There's no competitive landscape here. There is nothing for our customers to compare these products with because most of them are brands that are not existing in the Middle East to begin with. So we don't have a problem with that as much as hyper-competitive markets do, like in Turkey or in the States.
Will you have, hello, test. Will that be more of an issue if you enter the Turkish market or if Trendyol enters the MENA market?
Well, we are preparing a welcome package for Trendyol. No. Look, I mean, we realize that a lot of players will have to come into this region at some point. Whether it's Trendyol or, I mean, Gilt ships to the Middle East now. We realize that you know, competition is coming, but we're much more focused on fixing the basic issues of, again, cross-border transportation, logistics, payment, customer service. That's what we care about. No player will be able to make any serious gains in this market unless they fix the basic issues. So we are working with the governments, the government agencies, to try to facilitate for us the e-trade. We're working very closely with Aramex to try to develop their systems as well as our systems to allow this convenience model to exist. And we're also very focused on hiring international talent to come and help mitigate a lot of these barriers to entry for us into this market. So by no means, we're not there yet. and no competition will succeed if they don't solve the same exact problems that we're facing right now.
My understanding is that cash on delivery is your biggest hurdle, and it could be the thing that makes or breaks Marca VIP, especially in the Saudi market. How are you tackling that this year?
Actually, we see COD as an opportunity. We don't see it as a barrier, as a threat. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at the malls, they're on a COD model, right? They purchase products up front and then they resell them. So what we're working on right now is actually working on an algorithm that would do an order level risk analysis and a customer level risk analysis and a city level risk analysis. Once that customer places the order, we look at their history. We look at their lifetime value. We look at their return rates. We look at what the possibility looks like for them not accepting the order and rejecting the order. So we're building all this intelligence and all these hooks within our application to be able to detect failure to deliver or logistics returns, if you will. And again, Aramex is also helping on that quite a bit. So we are a fashion bank, if you will, right? I mean, we sell fashionable products. And we allow you to buy it on cash on delivery basis, and you don't have to take the risk of paying for it until it gets to your door. There is a risk associated with that, but we believe that once we solve this risk and once we mitigate this risk, we will have this intelligence that would enable us to grow much bigger and much faster.
How do you put that intelligence to work? If that's like a heat map of risk when it comes to cash on delivery, do you start banning users or banning cities or reducing cash on delivery options in those areas?
Sure. So once you on Marca VIP today, if you make 3 returns or more, for example, and you have no lifetime value whatsoever, then you automatically go on a credit card only group. And if you want to get out of this credit card only group, you have to actually pay for the costs of the returns that you've incurred on the company. But that issue is not a big issue for us. I mean, to be quite honest, in the beginning it was a huge issue. We had a 25% logistics return rate. This is customers not willing to collect the order or not answering to Aramex's phone calls, or our drivers are not able to locate them. But again, having gone through this exercise over and over again for the past 18 months, we've grew to learn a few things that, if implemented properly, can actually mitigate the risk down to just like a credit card business. The other thing, of course, that we're doing, which is extremely advantageous to us, is that we are signing exclusivities with all of our suppliers, and we're becoming the agents for a lot of these brands in the Middle East. And as a result, or in exchange for that, where we are marketing the brand for the brand for the supplier, and giving them exposure to 1.5 million people in a very exciting market, is that we're getting consignment deals, payment terms. So this reduces our cash flow cycle and also reduces our positive inventory model risks.
Speaking of competition, Paul, your biggest competitors in the region, Go Nabbit, were acquired by Living Social this year. How does that affect your business?
I think overall the acquisition was excellent for the market. I look at it as a benchmark, and it proves that this market does have appetite for outside investors. Overall, we may be pitched as competitors, but together we're actually growing the e-commerce space along with the people sitting here. So I think it was excellent for the market.
Are you looking for a similar exit? Are you looking for a similar exit?
Right now, we've closed funding for 2012, so not actually looking for an exit. We're actually looking at growing the business further. You'll see some big transitions with the site quite soon, and we're growing quite quickly, so quite happy with that.
Mona, just to talk about growth on an Amazon-style retail site. Amazon's been seeing a lot of traction by creating customer loyalty programs. Do you have any plans to launch a customer loyalty program or add a layer of content to Mum's World to build your user base?
Customer loyalty programs have obviously pros and cons. At the end of the day, there are 2 ways to acquire customers. You either buy loyalty, or you earn loyalty. At this stage in the life cycle of Mom's World, we're trying to earn that loyalty. So while never say never, and while loyalty programs are important and they do have their value, not in the immediate future. Now, we are particularly fortunate in that our target audience is by their very nature a loyal consumer. Earlier I shared some Nielsen stats about when they buy. Of the first-time mothers who buy during that window of opportunity that I talked about, 72% of the products purchased actually stay with the mother for at least 2 years. So as a brand, if we're able to reach that consumer during that window of opportunity, we essentially have a loyal consumer for an extended period of time, obviously assuming that we're delivering on the promise of superior customer service. Also, I will say integral to our particular proposition is building a relationship, a one-on-one relationship with our customer. We have a blog section that essentially educates, and we have online dialogue with our customers on a daily basis where we educate, empower, and get to know our consumers. And this is really one of the things that differentiates the Mom's World e-commerce platform and makes it perhaps a bit easier for us than a more mass e-commerce playing field.
Is cash on delivery an issue for you?
Cash on delivery is not an issue for us. We actually like cash on delivery, obviously, because it doesn't come with any fees or costs associated. Again, when a mother is researching, comparing, and going out of her way to buy products, she is not likely to return it. Our return rates and cancellation rates are actually very, very low. Since we've launched, we've had only 2 cash on delivery non-payments.
Okay.
I have to talk here.
You have to talk.
Yeah. So cash on
going to
delivery is
talk about?
actually one of the biggest issues. Again, I mean, I have to disagree with Muna for a little bit. We see it as an opportunity, but think of this: you buy a product up front for $1,000 or however much, and then you have to ship it to your customer somewhere in Saudi Arabia, which takes about, on average, with Aramex, 3 to 7 days, depending on how fast the customer answers. So that's 7 days. Aramex has to collect the money and then credit your bank account. Yani, you have a cash flow cycle of around 14 to 21 days. If you ask me today, if you say, Ahmed, I want you to do $15 million in June in revenues, I'm going to ask you for $10 million up front, because I have to finance my growth. Every single time there's a cash on delivery order, I'm bleeding this money, and I'm not getting this money back for another three weeks to a month. And that's working with our financial team, which is a world-class financial team. Imagine if just a couple of entrepreneurs who are just entering into this market having to solve this COD issue. It's definitely an issue. And if you're not properly funded from the beginning, you will not overcome it. So I would let go of any emotions with regards to how much of a stake I control in Marca VIP, because at the end of the day, you have to get well funded, and you have to dilute in order for you to build a great company. So I would rather have a 1% stake in Mercedes-Benz rather than Dukkanat Abu Ali somewhere in the Balad.
Just to add to that, Kabone.com actually offers a cash on delivery service in every city we operate in, and what's unique about the model, it's actually our most cost-efficient model compared to the payment gateways, which doesn't really make any sense. But overall, we found that it was a great way to build trust when we enter new markets, because users will purchase through cash on delivery at the beginning and then transition to a credit card method. So we found cash on delivery quite good, particularly in the couponing business.
Sorry, I'd like to add an important element on logistics and e-commerce and how it relates to cash on delivery. When you're competing in the e-commerce arena, it's very important that you have a very tight control over your logistics process. The minute you begin to outsource anything, whether it is shipping, delivery, anything, is when you begin to lose control. The region is still less sophisticated when it comes to, if you like, delegating responsibility to do certain things. What that means for us in particular is for Saudi Arabia and the UAE, our two largest markets, we have actually taken on a large percentage of our deliveries in these two local markets. We have actually mirror replicated our UAE operations in Saudi Arabia, which allows us to deliver our products to the consumer within 2 to 3 days of order. So a cash on delivery for us, 2 to 3 days later, getting the cash in our hands at no cost is actually great. Now, certainly, as the brand continues to grow exponentially and as you scale, you cannot do it all alone. But at that point, the logistics arena in this part of the world needs to catch up and needs to become much more sophisticated.
Let's talk about funding. All four of you took on funding within the first 8 months of launch, essentially with Mana closing a round right now. Why was it essential to take on so much funding so early? And how should startups think about approaching funding once they launch, e-commerce startups?
Well, first of all, in order to get funding, you have to have the proper market, right? There has to be a market that's ready for your startup and for your idea, and you have to convince, of course, the investors of this dream. For us, it was very difficult. I mean, as I mentioned during my ArabNet presentation, half of the Arab investors laughed at me and the other half just didn't follow up at all. So part of the strategy was to go out to Europe and reach out to our connections in the Valley as well and get properly funded. And from the beginning, we knew that, I mean, we're entrepreneurs, right? In our mind, it's already done. We're already a billion-dollar company. We're just acting things out right now. So you have to go in with this kind of invasion-style black ops mode into the market, and you need funding for that, and you need proper funding for that. What we did, though, is that we had, I hope none of my investors are here, we had the divide and conquer strategy, right? We did not want to have a single investor or a single company or a single person have a controlling stake, if you will, in the company. This is so that we, the entrepreneurs, will always be in the driving seat, and we don't leave everything up to a single person who may not know nothing about this market to make big decisions for the company. So funding is very important, but more importantly are the investors that you bring on board. I mean, we have Invus, which is a $4 billion fund out of New York. We've got Lumia Capital. We have Hummingbird Ventures. And by the way, Hummingbird Ventures were the first company to invest in Marca VIP. They pumped in $500,000, and they invested at our last round, the $10 million round. They invested in every single round since day one. And that's the kind of investors that you want to have on board, the ones that believe in you and believe in your dream and are very active also to make sure that you succeed. Again, the only advice for the entrepreneurs is not to be dilution sensitive and not to be valuation sensitive. In the beginning, you need to prove that you have a serious market and that you have the appetite and you can sell. And after that, you can dictate the relationship with the investors and with the suppliers.
All right. Just finally, can you each list one piece of advice specific to your e-commerce model that you would give someone trying to create a startup today in daily deals, online retail, flash sales?
For daily deals?
You for daily deals, yes.
It's too late.
One piece of advice.
It's too late. Don't come in.
No, seriously. Someone...
No, I'm serious. It's too late. Don't come in.
Same question.
Yes,
don't underestimate the complexity and the importance of superior logistics. It's very easy to get top line volume and demand. That's the easiest part of the job. We can all do it. What's not easy is fulfilling that demand and getting the consumer to trust you, to like you, and come back to buy more. And at the end of the day, bottom line, to make money. So if you're getting huge top lines and you're bleeding money on the bottom line for years and years, it's not a viable option. So come in understanding that you need to get it right on the top level and on the bottom level.
Advice.
Don't buy from Trendyol. No, I'm just kidding. Again, I'll go back to the same exact advice that I had in the beginning, which is to choose the right investors. Unfortunately, a lot of the entrepreneurs here, and by the way, I host a lot of entrepreneurs at my company on a weekly basis. I get 2 to 3 entrepreneurs coming into my office, just pitching their idea to me, getting feedback. I'm not some sort of spiritual leader on this movement of e-commerce in the Middle East, but I can tell you one thing. If you have the wrong investor, day one, you will not build a company, you will not build a business. You will build whatever that the investor envisioned in his mind for your business. So choose the right investor.
Okay, before questions, I sent a tweet off and everyone actually seemed to like it. Who wants to see a face-off between the panelists? Okay, so this is my suggestion. You can sign in or you can sign out. I would suggest we start with each of you. You share just one number, and everyone has to share that number that you shared. And then we move. You can pick your best number or your worst number. But you share, for example, your users, we share whatever it is, return customers, whatever you want, you share and we share. And we do it a few rounds until it gets messy. Sign in, everyone, or out? Fight.
Okay, I'm going to start off easy. We're 19 months old.
Okay, so he said his age, you go, and then Mona shares a number, you go, and then Ahmad shares, and we start again.
I'm 15 years old, and we have 60,000 products.
15 years old? Okay. We're on track to reach $100 million in sales this year. $100 million. And we are 25% over target. Any number.
We're close to now 6 million members, and our repeat rate is 70%.
I started the company when I was 25, so I think there's huge potential for anyone that's going out to start a company. Go for it.
I built 2 businesses, online businesses, in the past 10 years, and our loyalty rate on Mom's World is 72%.
This is becoming a little bit not challenging. We did $6 million in revenue last month.
No revenue. No revenue. First year growth was 30% month on month. Hey, come on, come on.
We've had 2 cancellations returned from consumers in the past 8 months. That's it.
On average, after 1 year, the customer at Marca VIP buys 9 times. 9, yeah.
So Cabone is the only local player left, and I'm proud to say we're the largest daily deal player comparing against 2 international players.
Yes, hello? Okay, I just have one question. So I heard this, actually you shouldn't be scared to be diluted when you want to grow. Can I know what's the remaining percentage of the first founders in the companies currently?
Can you know the what? I'm sorry?
The remaining share holding stake that each of you as founders...
Our stakes in the company?
Yes, after many rounds of dilution.
Are you going to invest?
No. Just, as you said, you shouldn't be scared in accepting big funding and therefore get diluted.
Okay, the great thing about Marca VIP is that it's a founder-led, owner-driven company. And this is definitely one of the keys to success as well. You see a lot of companies trying to clone, different models that are working in Europe or working in the United States, and they have this kind of machine pumping out companies like Rocket Internet and some other ones in the region. That doesn't work. That never works. If the founder himself is not driving the company, driving the decisions in the company, and backing the company, then it really doesn't work. So the management team at Marca VIP has well over 30% of the business.
I think it's key to find an investor that understands the entrepreneur's motivation. I don't think anyone's going to answer your question, but in order to ensure the entrepreneur is motivated is critical. So,
in our recent round of funding, we got quite a few term sheets, and the majority of the term sheets understand the absolute necessity to give the founders and the owners and the managing partners a majority stake to keep them motivated and driving the business.
My question is, if Aramex charges 40 JDs just for sending a piece of paper to Saudi Arabia, how do you envision making money out of the shipping, and what's the cost that you would add to the cost of the merchandise you are selling?
Fadi Ghandour is in the audience, and I think he can help you with that question.
Sorry, the question was,
How do you reduce shipping costs, I guess, right?
how do you reduce shipping and logistics costs?
Yeah, but I mean, it's too much. I mean, Aramex charges a lot of money just to send anything to neighboring countries.
Actually, maybe
JDs for sending a single piece of paper.
Well, I will tell you guys another number, okay? Since we started working with Aramex, they have reduced their rates for us more than 60%, 70% of the initial rate that they gave us. But hold on, that's not because we're good looking or because we're smart. It's because we gave them a lot of business. So as I mentioned, when you grow fast, when you go big, you can start dictating the relationship. Iyad will be in your office once a week.
do all of you use Aramex? Cabone does not use Aramex. You have your own solution.
No, we use, I mean, our business isn't wholly in products. It's paper-based. So we use localized distributors, and we hedge them against each other to see which one converts better, actually. So it's also a price-sensitive model, because the customer is actually paying for the delivery on Cabone. So we want to guarantee good quality of delivery, but also a cheaper delivery rate.
My question to the panel about Paul's advice, is it really too late? Is the MENA market saturated?
What was the question? Sorry, is the MENA market saturated?
Yeah, for the new entrepreneurs.
For the Daily Deal site, is the market
Is it for daily deals or for entrepreneurs? What was the...
For e-commerce entrepreneurs. Is it too late? Was that your comment or not?
For e-commerce in general.
No, for e-commerce in general, it's not even close to being saturated. I think there's so much opportunity among many verticals of e-commerce to be exploited yet. So quite excited about the next 3 to 5 years within this market.
All right, thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you.